Sure. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kate Taylor, chair of the Artists Network. And then joining us is Angela Lane, who is the director of all of the outdoor shows, which you guys know very well by now because you've had a ton of emails from her. So I just want to really, first of all, thank you so much for submitting to the Artists Network shows. And also thank you for joining us today, because I think this helps everybody become kind of more successful, and we can talk about tips for success for the online platform, as well as if you choose to do a pop-up. The other thing is, I know that it's been really stressful not knowing, are we in person, are we not in person? The COVID rules, everything's changing. So just wanted to let you know we are in discussion with the city, but at this point, the Riverdale Art Walk is going to be virtual only for the one in August. And I really do appreciate your patience as we've been trying to work through this, because I know that it's always nice to know exactly what's going on, but that's not the way it is these days. So anyway, Angela, why don't you, so basically Angela's going to show her screen. We're going to do a presentation. So if everyone can just put their phones on mute, that would be great, so we don't get any distractions. If you have any questions, then certainly put them in the chat, and we will either address them as they come up, or if we know it's something that's going to be addressed a little bit later, we may ignore it and then kind of bring up that point later. If for some reason we just missed your chat and your comment, then please repost them. Take it away, Ange.
All right. Oh, shoot. Maybe I will just start at the beginning.
That would be great.
Hey, and I were just reviewing a few things. Sorry about that. So I just wanted to welcome everybody. Let me just make sure it's in the right view. Okay, you're not in, you guys don't see presentation view, do you?
Yeah, well, I see, I've got it actually on side-by-side gallery, so I can see a couple people and I can see the presentation.
Oh, okay. All right. So, Kate, I won't see the chat anymore, so you'll have to comment.
Yeah, I will do that.
Awesome. Okay, so, well, thanks everybody for joining in. That's great. We are really happy that we're able to do the art shows. And as Kate's saying, we are in chats with the city about doing the art walk, the Riverdale Art Walk in person. But at this point, we are not. We're just hosting an online show. For some reason, I can't forward, Kate. I don't know why.
I don't know.
Just a moment. Sorry, everybody. Oh, there. All right. So we're going to talk about both the Riverdale Art Walk and Art Walk in the Square. So we have attendees from both those shows because we're going to sort of review the very much the similar aspects of the shows, which is the online store, your profile, how important it is to sell yourself and to create your special collection for the show. We know that there's a bit of online fatigue, and we want to make sure that the show works for you and it's the best show possible. We're going to talk a little bit about the Eventeny platform, just highlight a few things there, walk through a few things and answer any questions you might have. We're going to touch base on marketing, touch base on the artist hosted pop-up, which is sort of like our tent tour booths, and talk about some logistics and things you might want to know about that. And then finally, selling your work. We will be having a Art Walk in the Square orientation closer to the date in regards to the logistics. We're working through some of those logistics, and as you are aware, things keep changing with COVID in regards to the numbers of people and where we're going to set up and how we're going to set up. So we should know more in a couple of weeks. So expect we'll be doing an orientation, I would say a month ahead of time for that show, or maybe hopefully as early in August as possible. But we just want to make sure we share the right information. So leading up to the shows, the websites that you're going to be directing your audience to is the riverdaleartwalk.ca and artwalksquare.ca. And the rationale around that is it's just a general overview of the show. It'll have links to the online stores, as well as it'll have links to, prior to the store opening, a link to the gallery of the participating artists. So that's all the online artists. So I think that's up for the Riverdale Art Walk August show, and Art Walk in the Square, I'm just finishing that. So it'll be up soon. The Eventeny profile is, so I just need to make this smaller, is pretty important. You'll be able to outline and create your profile online. I hope that many of you have started that. there's a lot of you who have already done that. Kate, I don't know if we didn't take a poll ahead of time of how many people. Maybe we want to pop that in the chat. Maybe just pop in the chat if this is the first time you're creating a profile on Eventeny, because that helps us understand what we need to talk about during
So
this
if it is the
orientation.
first time that you are looking at Eventeny and having to create a profile, just put yes in the chat.
Yes. Awesome. So the art walks will have a profile, general profile of the event up here. They'll have like main hosted content, and then the artists exhibit individual stores listings.
So we have about half of the people. This is the first time they've done an Eventeny profile.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm having a problems forwarding my. Oh, there. I guess I'm just gonna have to rotate down. Sorry, everybody. Having a problems with my forward key. All right, so we will have a map on the profile of the artist pop-ups, and for Art Walk in the Square, same thing. We'll be hosting an in-person show, but if we are not able to open up that show to online artists, we will also be profiling any artists who are going to do pop-ups in their own space, whether it's your home or your studio space. We will also add that to the map if you'd like. Where you might be able to have a virtual opening, that's to be confirmed depending on the other activity around the event. And then it'll outline the schedules as well as highlights of in-person pop-ups, as well as previewed artists. Okay, do you want to talk a little bit about how important it is and how to sell yourself on Eventeny?
Yeah, so one of the things we kind of know that is a benefit, of course, doing an in-person show is that not only do people get to see the work in real life, but they really get a sense of you as the artist. This becomes really important online as well, especially for artists that kind of like me, where the work doesn't show quite as well digitally as it does in person. So there's a couple of things that are really important to do. So one is if you shoot a quick video of yourself, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes. It doesn't have to be that long. You can also post it to YouTube and just talk a little bit about your inspiration, who you are, what makes you create, how people can work with you if you do commissions, things like that. So it's something that, you would normally do your kind of little blurb as someone comes into your tent. Think about recording that. Now, I do appreciate it's a little bit uncomfortable. The one that I did, I took in front of one of my paintings, and yeah, it did take me about 4,000 tries to get one that was decent. Doesn't have to be perfect. It just really has to be a bit authentic. The other part is that with digital, it's very hard sometimes for people to understand the size of your work. So as you can see here, I've got a lot of my paintings that are also in situ, and I use Art Rooms. It's just an app on your phone that you can use. And so what that does is it allows people to kind of go, okay, that's a small painting, that's a big one, that fits in my space. So that's really important. Your artist statement is also another part where you've got your video, which is your visual artist statement. Your artist statement actually is designed to help them understand who you are and what your inspiration is. An artist statement, I think for a lot of people, especially during COVID, has changed. Some of the motivations have changed. And so it's really important to take a look at that every once in a while and make sure it's still valid. It's always preferable to do that in first person. This is supposed to be your statement of your inspiration. And so I always think it should be first person. It's a bit more personal. But do make it concise. Again, people's attention span digitally is a little bit less than in your booth. So you want to kind of just make sure you get the key points. If there's any testimonials or anything you want to add, it's a great place to do that. Within this Eventeny platform, you can have, as you can see here on my profile, I've got a video. This first box is a video, but I actually have 5 or 6 videos that are queued up. So if someone's seen that one, then the next one comes on board that might talk about a specific technique I do. It might be talking about how to do commissions. You might have somewhere you have a client who's talking about how fabulous you are to work with and how much they love your art. That kind of stuff is super helpful to try and get people to understand you as the artist as they're looking at your work.
Yeah, so, and also here, they'll be able to link to other things. So they can link to your Instagram, your Facebook, your website. They can actually message you and follow you on the platform. So
the other thing that's kind of nice, and this is especially there's a lot of digital shows on right now. And so it's kind of always nice to be able to talk about maybe a specific collection or something new that you're launching within this show. So not only is it a great way to be able to communicate to your database, it's like, hey, never before seen before paintings. These are a brand new collection. It's something I specifically created for the Riverdale Art Walk. That really helps drive traffic to your booth and to your store. So that's another really important thing. Again, we say this all the time, and yet, it's so critical when you're selling digitally is make sure you have really good quality images. So one of the things that I like to do on my profile is Eventeny allows you to upload multiple images to each shop page. So you have your painting, you might have an in situ piece, you might have a picture of the corners or the sides so they know how it's finished. You can have one that's framed, you can have a close-up so people can kind of get a sense of what your work is like. All of those things that are so intuitive and in-person show will help them to sort of get a better sense of your work.
Yeah, and just for those to remember that only 20% of your product in the store can be reproductions.
And no functional art.
Right.
So again, well, this is what I was talking about in terms of
Right.
profiling the work and using it in situ. There's a lot of opportunities. For example, you might want to sort of, your work might be available framed or unframed. There's a lot of opportunities and flexibility within this platform to kind of put in all of that information. The furniture shows scale. You don't have to use an app. You can use set up a chair and put your painting on the wall, and as long as there's some sort of context for the size of the piece, then that helps a lot.
Yeah, so this right here, so once a visitor clicks on a product, this is actually what would come up. So for Kate's, she's got her in situ pictures and these other pictures here, but then the small description. So I can take us through the Eventeny platform now.
Yeah, so one of the other questions that coming through is different comments for shipping. And so that's really because for me, my small pieces are mostly porch pickup, or sometimes I include free shipping. And in other cases, I've had shipping through FedEx. So we can go through that. We'll go through that a little bit.
Yeah, I'll do that on the platform. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to change my screen. Wow, this is so strange. I can't.
Maybe because you're the one recording.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
So what about, like, I'm in Oakville, so I'm not in Toronto,
Yep.
but I was planning to have a tent up in front of my, my house. How can we do that?
Well,
Because
I think we will do, like last time we had some people that were up in up north in Newmarket. We had some people that were where were they? I can't remember. Brooklyn or
Some Scarborough
yes.
across.
So people can basically, we'll add it on the map, and we will definitely let people know that's why we've changed it from a tent tour, because it isn't really a tour where you can actually do all of the art tents. It's now just a pop-up in your space. So if you happen to know of other artists in Oakville, it would be great maybe to have more than one artist per space. That tends to draw more traffic.
Right.
Yeah.
So the idea is really, it's an opportunity for you to promote yourself to
Oh,
your,
of course, yeah.
your network and in your neighborhood, right? And so the success of that kind of lies heavily with the artist. But we will definitely add that to the map. And what I do is we have a local map, and I'll just put, oh, in Oakville, on this side, we'll show Oakville. On this side, there's somebody, like we had somebody in Hamilton at one of our pop-ups, our tent tours participate, and we put them on the map, no problem.
Perfect.
Andrea,
Yeah.
I'm also in Oakville. Can you see me? It's Margot. I'm also in Oakville, and this.
I don't see you.
Well, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can
Margot
hear you,
Roy.
but I
Okay,
can't
good.
see you.
So I'm going to be doing it as well, and I'm in Oakville, so that would be a nice draw as well. I think it'll be in my studio space, not on my front lawn, which I'm going to ask some questions about, and how much air do we need in there? Do we need the front doors open, side doors open? So I'm
Exactly.
sure later.
So what I would suggest to everybody is all of you have access to the internal Facebook page. So the best place really is to put that and say, hey, I'm in Oakville. I want to do a pop-up. Is anyone interested in doing it with me?
Exactly.
That's really
That
the
would
best.
be the perfect solution to for us in, like, just being not in Toronto, but the
Yeah.
Oakville Burlington peeps, that we can communicate of, let's have like a tent, whatever, like open studio. So people, like we all have like 500 plus followers,
That's right.
to have them join us and go around and have a look at our work, right?
Yeah.
Yes, so if you haven't signed up for that shared Facebook group, please do that so that you can connect with
it's
other
very valuable.
artists. All right,
So
so I gotta,
I'm totally stupid, but what is that shared Facebook group? Like, because I'm trying to be on everything, but I might have missed stuff.
I'll send that out to everybody again. If I
Thank
have
you,
the chat, I will
Angela.
drop it in there, but I'll be sending that again. So
I appreciate it. Yep.
well, why don't we
Perfect, thank
go
you.
into the Eventeny platform and we're going to talk about online first, and then we'll get into some of these
Okay.
other specifics and logistics for some of the events. So one of the things it's important to get into the Eventeny platform and change things, you need to sign in. So I'm just going to show you. You click up the top here and you sign in. So I have a couple profiles. So I'm going to go into my personal artist profile. I don't know why these lines are on here, Kate. Can you see the yellow lines?
Yeah, they were, I think that was from before. It was when you were, I think, touch screening. So I wouldn't worry about it. You can't really see it. Not a
Okay.
big deal.
All right, I wasn't, okay. So here we are in Eventeny, and you'll see on the top right-hand corner, it'll have an initial, or if you've uploaded a profile picture, it'll have that profile picture there. And if you hover over top of that, this is how you get access to everything. So you'll view your profile, your account settings, your messaging, your applications. So that's any shows you've applied to, event organizers, and just log out. So the place that you're going to go to most often is your account settings. Your profile is what you set up to actually create a submission or just to create a profile online. But your business profile and your account settings are what you really need to get to. So you're going to click account settings and you're going to go to business profile. So this is your, I think because I'm sharing, it's really difficult to click. I apologize for this. I mean, I think maybe it's because I'm recording, Kate. I don't know.
Maybe.
I've never had this happen before. I can't even select it.
You want me to try on my side?
Sure. Do you want to try to share your screen and then I'll just talk? I don't know why it's not working for me.
Sure. You have to unshare then.
Yeah. Sorry. Just 1 second. Sorry, everybody. I can't
You
see.
think after a year and a half, we would have all these technical issues sorted out, but I guess not.
Well, it worked earlier, but as soon as the only difference is we're recording now. So.
Yeah. All right. All right. Let me just give me 1 second.
Well, it's too bad because I had some stuff set up on my profile. Oh, well.
Well, you do want to try again?
No, it's okay. Just go ahead.
Okay. All right. So can everyone see it?
Oh, now yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So we're in our.
Go back to Kate where you logged in. So this is your business profile here. So you went to account settings, right?
Yeah.
So do you see, everybody see where account settings is? Because I get the questions like this probably almost once a day. So go to your little icon here, go to account settings, and then you want to go to your business profile. Your business profile is what you're actually creating for your outside audience.
But the personal info is, if you've not set up before, will that already have been done with the submission process, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the business profile, we just kind of click on then. Well, look at that. I can't seem to get there either.
Yeah,
But
see, it's so strange.
no, it's
So
just thinking. There you go.
oh, you were
There
just
we go.
there. Maybe there's just a delay in the system.
Kate
Okay.
Taylor Studio,
There you
looking good.
Yep, that's me.
Yeah, looking awesome. As usual.
Unfortunately, I have no employees. I wish I had a studio assistant, but no.
Okay, so as Kate scrolls down here, you're going to see that she's got her description, and that's basically her artist statement or who she is. She's got her email and her phone number. So those are going to be the things that people, if they click on, like we showed you the picture before of her storefront, you'd be able to see that's the phone number or that's the email that would people would contact you with. As well, you're going to, if you ever need to go see your business profile on the right-hand side, this column here is really important. You'll see view business page. Kate, can you just click on that for a moment? I just want to show people. So you're going to go probably as you're building your business profile, you're going to toggle back and forth. You're going to change and edit stuff, and then you're going to toggle over here, and you'll see Kate's video is going to come up, and this is the profile that she had that we've seen before, and you can see all the information here down below, and you can see all her products that she's loaded. So, Kate,
So this is basically your store front.
yeah. So if somebody clicks on you, a visitor, this is what they'll see. So Kate, if you go back again, we'll just go through the main items to fill in, and then so there maybe is a little bit of a delay.
Yeah.
All right, so
Do you want me to go through edit or just this format?
no, I don't think so. I think we'll just scroll through because it's going to take too long. So there are very, very detailed video tutorials. So profile, you're adding your products, your bulk upload. This is where all this information is. These are Eventeny tutorials that you can kind of review, and each one's probably about 8 minutes long or so, and it's about a specific area, so that if you're having a problem, that'll be your first resource to click on. Another option would be, I sent everybody earlier some orientation links that we had uploaded to our YouTube channel, and you can review that as well, because I actually on the last orientation went through and like filled in the information as we were going. Today we're just going to scroll down and we're just going to highlight and talk about a few different areas, but just you can go back and review those. Just we did that already in a lot of detail, so you can just kind of review that orientation. But these are short, they're 8 minutes each, so if you only need to look at a specific area, then you'll just click on those specific areas. Also, they have event resources, selling on Eventeny, and step-by-step instructions. So if you haven't set up your payment system yet, if you haven't done some of those things, if you click on these are kind of like a step-by-step Word documents that just say, okay, this is what you need to do first, then this, and this, and this. And so they're pretty easy to kind of walk through if you have any questions at all. So, Kate, if you scroll down, again, this is your basic information, your address, your email, your phone, and your website. Your website's important because if you don't have your full URL here, people won't be able to link through to your website.
So make sure you copy, when you go in there, make sure you go to your website, copy and paste the URL. Don't just type it in.
Yeah, like don't put katetaylorstudio.com. You need to copy the entire URL.
Yeah.
And if you scroll down a little bit.
And I would suggest you probably want a shorter description. Mine seems to be extraordinarily long, so I'll be editing that.
The one thing is that Eventeny does shorten your profile. So if you click more, they'll read more of your profile. So it's not like you're going to have to scroll down a long way on your profile. It is shortened. This business page link is a really important link. So what you're going to do, everybody has this link, and this is the link that when you're doing your marketing, once your store is up and running, when you're doing your marketing, you're going to copy that link. And that's the link that will direct your audience specifically to your store, right? So there's going to be an overall event link, and then there's going to be your store link. We'll ask you to obviously promote the entire show and the store, but you also want to promote yourself individually, or you might want to say, oh, here, check me out. This is where I am in this show. Okay, so that's your personal link.
I just wanted to really reinforce what Angela just said, because it's virtual, it's one of those things, as a collective, we can actually really try and drive more people to the store. So it's much better to kind of be able to say, hey, this is my link, this is my store, but there are 100 amazing artists that are part of Riverdale ArtWalk that I really think you should check out as well. And here's the link to the actual full show. That really helps. If everybody does that, it helps everybody promote and helps everybody sell.
Yeah, and it also gives them the map. It'll give them the schedule of any activity that's happening. So it actually gives your audience a lot more information and presents the fact that you're part of this bigger, awesome show, right? You're going to need to set your currency, and you need to do that. Eventeny is a US platform, and if you don't change that, it'll go, the default is US dollars. So you need to make sure that you change the currency. As well as your refund policy and your preferred carrier. So your preferred carrier, Kate, actually, maybe you do need to go into edit because I just want to show what the options are. Sorry, just might take a little while for her to. So your preferred carrier, that's your shipping. So if you scroll down, you could have no preference. And you can see the ones that Kate's showing here, Canada Post, UPS might be something that you might pick. And I think if you scroll down, I think is not. Yeah. Okay.
Australia Post, which I'm thinking you
I
probably
don't think you're going to want. Okay, so basically it's FedEx, UPS, or Canada Post, or no preference, right? And so this is your overall shipping setting. So you can only pick one shipping provider at this time.
But what you can do, when you're in your individual products that you're uploading, you can have a choice between using the default shipper, or you can have an alternative shipping.
Yeah.
For example.
So we'll talk about that once we get to the products. So this is Kate's Facebook link. There's your Twitter if you have that, your Instagram, and if you're going to accept video chat. So this is a new feature on Eventeny for those who have had past Eventeny store before, and that's you can have open chat sessions. So you can tell people that you're kind of open for calls, you're open for business, and they can actually ask for a Zoom meeting with you, right? Right now the platform Zoom, so that's something new. And again, you can look into one of the tutorials there, the video tutorials, and that goes into a little bit more detail about that. And then age restriction, there shouldn't be an age restriction with any work. We're a family family open and family fun event, so we shouldn't have any issues there. So there should be no age restriction on your material. And then a QR code, I would recommend not clicking on that. There's no reason to have a QR code on your element. That's for people who are selling maybe a lot of multiples of products and they just want a QR code, and they can print off the QR code and have it on site for products like t-shirts and like you know, other kinds of things. I don't think people are going to print off a QR code on site, for example, an ArtWalk in the Square on a product. It'll link to the item in the store. I just think it's a lot of fussing, and we probably wouldn't be doing that. Because you probably just do an in-person selling of your product. I don't think you want them to link to the store to sell that product. So I don't think you need those QR codes. So Kate, if you can just close this.
And don't forget to save when you update all your information.
Yeah. And then I think if we just open one product, Kate, we can just chat a little bit about the specifics on the products.
Sure.
But before you do that, just scroll down to the products. I just want to talk about the stuff just above it.
Like this?
So if you scroll down, so we talked about this, and as Kate scrolls down, this is still your business profile.
Here's
Your
all my
cover
videos.
picture. So your cover picture is your first photo, and then you can add a whole lot of photos in here. And some people have made an error before thinking as they're adding, or if you just scroll up a tiny bit, they can just see the heading above that. There, your cover photo, and then as you can edit and you can add as many photos here as you want. The reality is that if you recall on Kate's profile, maximum 5 show. If you only upload a cover image, you're just going to have one large image banner across your page. But if you upload more pictures here, that's what's in that main banner where Kate had 5 images. The first images are going to show. It's pretty easy to edit and move the images around, but you can upload as many as you want. On Kate's profile, you probably didn't notice, but it said on the bottom, more or view all pictures or view all photos. People have the option of kind of clicking through and just viewing like general photos. This is not your store. Those are not your product images that you're selling. Those are just
That's
additional
super important.
images.
Say that again. This is not your store, because we had a lot of
those are
people
not your store.
frustrated. They'd updated everything here, but it's not the store.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you add nice landscape photographs, which ties into your artwork?
Absolutely.
So-
You can do whatever you want here.
Yeah, whatever you want to use to profile yourself. But as you recall, the images that are populated kind of show as a square, right? So it will crop the image. When you actually click on the image, you can, for the cover photo, you can tell whether you want to for it to fill or not fill or whatever. So you'll be able to fiddle around with that. And again, you can go through the videos in detail and it'll show you that. So Kate, if you scroll down, actually, if you just click edit, I'll just show them how to move something.
Grab it. Boop.
Yeah.
Super easy.
Yeah, so it's pretty easy to actually move one image. So in order to delete, you hit the X, but in order to move, you see those little arrows on the left-hand side of the images, you can just drag and move. You can drag them and you can go up or down on those images. So if you click on that, you can actually move them around. Okay, so it's pretty easy to move them once you upload them.
Yeah. Wanting to add new pictures, obviously it says upload picture, so it's really easy.
So that's your general profile. And then as And then as Kate said, once it's clear, you'll see that she's uploaded additional videos. The first video you upload is the upload. If you upload a video, it's automatically going to take that first square on your header. All right. If you don't want that video taking up that square, I would recommend to do it. It's kind of cool. And it starts to play automatically when someone goes on your profile. You can add other videos, and like Kate says, they loop through. And they are also listed on the profile. Someone can go through and look at all your videos. But the first video is the one that starts to play right away, and it automatically takes that position of the cover image. So if you scroll down just to show a little bit more of the products, should the pictures be in there in the store? Often what I've done is I've thrown pictures that aren't in my store in my profile. Like, you know, one or two of my favorite images that I've sold maybe in the last 6 months, but it's not really available for sale, but I kind of want to use it to profile myself. I put that in my header, so they don't have to be in. They don't have to be in your store. They can just be images that you want to profile. Steve asked, like, if he could profile just like a beautiful landscape image, and he can do that. So the products here, as you go on so again, click here to access frequently asked questions. So that's frequently asked questions about products. People have problems. And then you can add product or bulk import. I'm not going to go through the bulk import. That's kind of like using an Excel spreadsheet and putting all your information for all your products in there and then uploading it. If you want to do it that way, you can. It doesn't, it's a little bit more complicated, but there's again a total, another video that you can access and look at that. And you can actually search for a product. So let's say you're editing a product, like Kate's already done this before, and she wants to edit something, and she wants to say, oh, I think I did like Blue Moon, and I'm just gonna search. Oh,
I thought you wanted me to go to edit.
No, it's okay. I just was talking about the search option there.
Sorry.
Okay, we can talk about edit.
Hang on.
So there is a little, I'll let Kate get back to that spot, but if there's a little spot above the products there that say search, so you can actually search for one of your products if you know you're gonna, if you know you need to edit something on it, just because you have the option of populating with 30 products for this event. And so sometimes it's a lot scrolling up and down. So I'm just saying that there is a search. You can show on your screen 25 images or more, just as you're scrolling up and down. So if you want to show them all, you'll just change that to 50. And then here, also below that is sales tax and categories. So that's editing your sales tax and your categories. So you need to set your sales tax. So it used to be on that profile area where we set the Canadian dollar. Now it's right here. So I think this is a really important thing. So I think we should click on that, Kate.
You did?
Oh, so it's just taking a minute. Okay,
Right.
so the United States taxes based on purchaser's location. This adds a sales tax, a flat rate, or you can say calculate at checkout. If you choose to calculate at checkout, it's going to calculate based on the purchaser's location. If you add a flat sales tax, which most of us probably do, need to do is 13%. Or you can, you also need to, the default is calculating on checkout. So if you don't charge sales tax, like if your income is below a certain level and you're not charging sales tax, you need to say add sales tax rate and put 0. So it's a really important thing that you need to do because otherwise the default is the US sales tax. Okay, so we can close that.
Want to talk categories?
Yeah. So Kate's got a whole lot of categories listed here.
Yes,
So I'm gonna tell her
remove a
to edit
bunch of
those.
them. I'm going to remove some of them.
So what you're likely going to do, like, we're going to ask you to have one category. So Kate has been using this system for many years. So she's probably changed things around about how she wants to profile her images. And I'd say, okay, maybe you could do 2 categories. Like if you had like acrylic painting, and then another one you had was like prints, right? And so, or, you know, original art, and then like prints. So you might have 2 categories at max. The challenge with having a lot of categories and checking off a lot of categories is that it gets a lot overwhelming for your audience because you already have 30 products. And then if you choose to highlight one product and give them 5 or 6 categories, oh, it's acrylic. Oh, it's on panel. Oh, it's for sale. Oh, it's round. No, you know, if you do that, the same image is going to populate a whole bunch of times, right, on your particular profile, which means they might not see they might not get a good representation of all the work that you actually have for sale. So it's better to maybe have one, maybe two max.
So actually, I'm going to just go back because I think this is a really important part that I know that I screwed up. That's why I have so many categories, because I kind of thought, well, I need to put all the different medium and stuff in it.
Yeah, they're
When I-
not tags. It's not
I
a
just want
tag.
to what my rationale was for the categories. So I have each painting only has one category. And what I did is I actually created them so that they would be size based. For me, I thought that would be kind of the thing to do. So for example, a statement piece, those are all larger pieces. Little treasures are my 6-inch by 6-inch pieces. Mid-size art is 24 by 24. And then small arts are kind of 12 by 12. So you can create your own categories depending on kind of what makes sense and how you sell it. But I would suggest not doing things like acrylic or original art or things like that, because you can actually put that detail in the description if you want, but it becomes very confusing as Angela said, if you have this painting that's showing up in 7 different categories, even though it's only one painting.
Yeah, so for example, Kate's small art is not going to show up in her statement pieces. So she's not going to have this repetition. So you can think through your categories, but each piece, each product should have really one category, right? Otherwise it gets very confusing for your audience. And people have made this mistake before and their profile goes on and on and on, and you're not really helping sell a particular piece, and it gets confusing for people knowing what they're even buying.
Yeah. So now just going into this first piece, so if you want to edit it.
So I think the screen's a little behind what you're showing because we're seeing your profile right now.
Okay, so I'm just actually in the product,
Okay.
like editing the product. Tell me when you can see that.
Yeah, we can see that now.
So this is, you can see where I've had all these other ones where it's like, oh, that's kind of a screw up. So now I only have one category, which is a statement piece for this particular painting.
Right. And the reason Kate has so many as well is because she's been on Eventeny for a while, and we never used to be able to delete a category until like a couple of months ago. Yeah.
That's one.
So
So I'll be doing that.
So Kate's going to clean it up.
Yes, I am.
So oh, go ahead.
You go.
So you can add categories and take them away. So don't be afraid of adding it and fooling around with the best way to present your profile. But again, only tag each piece with one category. So as Kate, if you scroll up, you can see that she could actually click off. She's got one check mark now, a statement piece, but you could check off 3 or 4. And that's where the problem comes into place for.
So don't do that.
Yeah, so please don't do that. So, and then for each product, you will have to list whether it's available for sale or not. So hopefully it is, because it's one of the products you're profiling. You want to sell your work, and the quantity in this case would most often be 1. The only time that you would change that is we allow you to have 20% of reproductive work, and that's non-functional, but reproductive artwork. You could potentially have more than 1 piece. So if you were selling a print of something, you can't display the same image and prints in all these different sizes, but you could sell more than 1 quantity. And then your price, your shipping information. So this is where you can get in detail for your shipping. So this is awesome because you can do select shipping type. So you can do free shipping if you're just incorporating the shipping within your prices. And again, this is per product. So this is not for all your products. So you can say, I'm going to include the shipping for this type of work, but not this other type of work. Fixed shipping costs. So that gives you the option of, let's say I'm just going to charge $25 for everything that I ship out. I'm going to assume that most of my work's in Canada, but people have bought from the United States. The last show I had someone reach out to me about a piece from Iowa. So, you don't know where your purchases are going to come from. And calculate based on location. Calculate based on location refers back to the to what you set in your business profile previous to this. So if you chose FedEx, it's going to calculate it based on using the FedEx charts. If it's Canada Post, it's going to use the Canada Post charts based on your location and your purchaser's location. If you do calculate based on location, you have to put the weight in, and you will have to put the size in as you scroll down. Another really nice option that you have here is allow buyers the option to pick up instead of delivery. So this is great. Eventeny did this for us so that we could have a shipping option, but then if people want to pick up, they can choose to not pay the shipping fee and come to my studio and pick it up. Or if, my note is like, if you're local, you can pick up, you know, save the shipping fees and come pick up, you know, come visit me at my studio and pick up the piece, right? Or if, for example, an art walk in the square, you know what, come pick up from me from the, you know, show in person or whatever, right? I'll meet you at Art Walk in the Square in person, and that gives them an opportunity to visit you as an artist as well, right? But they've had the opportunity to purchase your work. You need to put, because if you've picked a shipping option, you're going to have to put the package dimensions. So you've got your product dimensions, but you've got your package dimensions. So you've got to put both those sizes in there. If you didn't pick calculate based on location, I don't believe the package dimensions show up.
No.
If they do, you can just populate it just so people know kind of what size the package is if they are picking that up, I guess. But I don't think it populates. And then you can put a description on that as well. So Kate's put in here a description on the product.
This isn't a very great description. I mean, what I really I'm going to go back and do is actually put a description that talks a little bit about that particular painting, what my inspiration was, why I created it, just to make it a bit more personal.
Right. Yeah, and above that, you also have a shipping description. So that would be, for example, if you had any additional fees, like if you're crossing the border, someone has to pay duty or do anything like that. Like if you have to put a note in there specifically about shipping and tracking and all of that, that's where the shipping description comes in.
The other thing is, especially for canvas work, a lot of times people will actually offer to take it off a stretcher, roll it, and ship it that way. So, you know, I think those are kind of the kind of things that think about if you're shipping it to, you know, outside of Toronto, what your clients would be looking for and what you're willing to do. Because
right,
you write it down, you got to deliver it.
Allow customization. Do you allow any customization on the product? I think the only thing an artist might want to do is like maybe shipping perhaps, but in most cases, I don't think that would be something that you'd have to select. You can do YouTube. So there's also a YouTube link. So if you actually had a video, and I've done this for some of my products, is I've actually done a video because I do encaustic work. It's hard to sometimes get the feel of it with just a flat photograph. So I've done some videos on some of my products, and you can upload it to a YouTube and put a link there. So that actually links to your product image as well. And then you can also upload additional images. So as you can see here, Kate's done an image of the artwork. She's done one in situ, and she's done one of the edges. You could do like a close-up or whatever you'd like. You can put as many in there as you want, but again, you don't want to have buyer fatigue. So that's just an option you can do for the images. So variations. I'm not going to get into too much detail about variations. I think you can, if you want to do variations or you have variations, I think this maybe comes into play for maybe more for photographers, as in variations like a black frame or a white frame, or like a specific size. Like if you're going to offer one print at different sizes, you actually can use variations to help you with that. So if you want to look at that, there's a very detailed video. If you go to your business profile, that column on the right-hand side has a lot of information about that. And you can reach out to me if you have specific questions. But I don't think most of us will be using that, so I'm going to skip over that. Kate, do you want to save and close?
You did?
Yeah, okay, sorry, it's a little bit delayed. Okay, so and that's basically how to do your product. So another thing, that's the way, let's say, so if something sells, it'll automatically do that online, and it will change it to not available or like sold, and it'll look great. But if you're changing throughout this online event, you can change up your products. So you can, there's a lot of interest in these blue pieces or whatever. I just finished another piece, or I've got a piece that came back from a gallery, or you know what, maybe I'll just change up some of my images, or I'll change up my profile. You can do that anytime you want through the event. This is your profile, it's your business page, it's your store. So you're going to present yourself and showcase yourself in the best way you can, and you can progress and you can change that throughout the event. It's totally up to you. So when you're on your products, Kate, if you can.
Well, I just wanted to say, so this is where, you know, as long as you still can only have 30 images on your profile. But for example, you can see here my Wild Energy was sold, but it's a strong piece, and I know it's the kind of piece that I might do commissions for. So I want to leave it there even though it's sold. For these little ones, these 6-inch by 6-inch paintings, I want to try and sell as many as possible. So if something sells, I'm going to want to replace that with something different. So that's kind of the strategy you can use for kind of whether or not you keeps things as sold or not.
Right. So if you go back, I can show you how to take a product off or not. So you can unpublish a product. So you can either change where you had available. So another way is you want to have something profiled there in your products, but you don't really want to sell it because, like, let's say you're doing the in-person show, right? So you're online and in person. So when Kate gets to that page, we can,
You see?
just takes a little while. Yeah. You can unpublish. So unpublish, so you don't have to delete the image. So let's say I've created my online profile for ArtWalk in the Square, and I'm doing an in-person, or I'm doing a pop-up, artist pop-up in my driveway with a friend of mine. And so I just want to make sure that I don't sell the same artwork piece twice. So all I need to do is unpublish. So it's just right there where Kate just showed. She can
So I just
unpublish.
click.
Yeah, so you
So I
don't need
just
to
click on
remove it.
And I was going to say, then you should go back to your business page. You can instantly see that that piece is not there anymore. So it's the beauty of this program is it's so fast.
Yeah. So you have total control of what you're showing and what you're not showing. And then let's say after your pop-up, you want to make sure that it's turned back on. You just go back and you just publish it again. And as Kate's saying, if something's sold and you don't want to preview it, you can just remove that product. Because it's just a lot of product to scroll through, right? So you just want to kind of manage the best you can. But if you think you're gonna, you're fooling around with what products to profile, you can just populate them all, and you can just unpublish the ones that you don't want to show, showcase. And so if you scroll down to the bottom, I think that's it, right, on that page.
I think so, yeah.
I think it's just product at the end.
The other thing you can do, yeah, I think it's just I got lots of product, I think, yeah. Because I haven't taken off stuff.
So I'm just going to highlight this for this group here as well. So after the show, if someone has your Eventeny personal link to your Eventeny store, it's your store, it's your profile, it's for you to manage. If you don't unpublish after the show ends, so the Riverdale show ends the beginning of September, the September show ends the beginning of, or the ArtWalk in the Square ends the beginning of October, you need to actually go through and unpublish all your product. You don't have to delete it because maybe you'll
right
use it
here.
for
So
the
storefront is open, storefront is closed.
show. Oh, all right. So that's new. They just finished doing that for me.
Yeah. So that means your
That
store
wasn't
still
there
exists.
last show. Yay! So it's one
Your
button.
store still exists. All your products are still there. It's just that if someone finds that link, they can't go there and buy it anymore.
Okay.
So that's just something we asked for them for ease of use, because otherwise you have to unpublish each image. So, and then that's your responsibility to manage that post show, because so we have had somebody go onto somebody's profile and purchase a piece that was sold before from a show. So after the show was done. All right, so that's pretty much the Eventeny platform. Are there any questions? I think I just saw one from David. Oh, now I can see the pieces. Sorry, the profile. Let me just see the questions.
What is the deadline to submit your pictures on Eventeny? Really, the deadline is a couple of hours before the show. I mean, because the show will actually go live, I guess at 10 o'clock on the Thursday or whatever. But I would just suggest that if you haven't done Eventeny before, it's better to try and do it sooner than later. So if you run into any issues, or if something isn't working, then at least, we've got time to help you through it, or you have time to go through the videos versus freaking out and calling Angela at midnight on the day before the show.
Yes. Even at the last show, I had somebody 6 hours before show opening asking, I could tell they were just starting to do the profile and coming into a problem and getting frustrated. So again, it's best to, if you're unsure, please do take a look at those videos and do try to start your profile earlier than later.
So what else can we do to promote the show? You emailed a newsletter update to my database, post on Instagram and Facebook, found my sales really slow, so just wanted to promote it better. We're actually going to go through some of this stuff now. I think the reality is that even for people that typically sell well, selling online is frankly just not going to be the same as selling in person. So I think some of it is a bit of a mental shift. When I do an online show, I actually really consider, of course, I want to sell stuff, but it's also an opportunity to build databases. It's an opportunity to build relationships. It's an opportunity to have something to even talk to your clients about, to keep those relationships fresh. So when you actually do an in-person show that you're there. But we're going to talk about a few things in the next area.
Yeah, and as we're flipping through that, so I'm gonna have to change my, share my screen again, Kate, because I've got the
Yep.
presentation that I did.
Yep,
There are a bunch of other questions that we need to answer, but I'll just
Yeah.
share my screen now.
If your Eventeny profile is still intact, yet you don't have to do anything as long as all those images are still available for sale. So you just probably want to double check and make sure that all the things you had from June are still available and you don't want to change anything. You also might want to go in and take this opportunity to kind of maybe add additional photographs or additional content or additional descriptions just to make it that much more robust.
Great. Any other questions?
A client of mine said it was hard to find my name as they scrolled through the artists, wondering if it would be better to have artists listed alphabetical. No, we've typically think that it makes sense to put it in by medium because that's often how people will look. We only have 100 artists in this show, and we've specifically limited it so that there aren't that many artists you have to go through. And I believe there is a search actually on Eventeny.
Yeah, there's a search. So that's what I was going to say. There's definitely a search. So if somebody's looking for someone specifically and they're not scrolling through, there's definitely a search. And then it is alphabetical under each category. And that's actually something Eventony's changed now, that category for everything. So I would have to change that if we got away from that, and we decided not to. We decided to use the categories. We may simplify categories in future. Like maybe we have too many categories. We were going to do all painting as one category, but what we did is we decided to split that up just to create some variety on the shows this year. So we can control how many categories there are, but this year we decided on these. So
how do I present a piece for sale online and the tent tour at the same time? So there are a couple of options. As we were just going through, you can actually go on the Eventeny site and you can unpublish the pieces you're going to have in your tent tour for that period of time if you choose to. So therefore nobody can buy from your online site as well as in person at the same time. The other thing is what I did is I just left the store live. And if I sold something that I knew was on the store, I immediately went in and updated that as sold on my store.
yeah, so what you can do, it depends how much work you want to do with managing that profile if you're doing something in person, right? So there's a different way you can do it as well. So I don't know if you remember that, but when we had the products as listed as one item, like quantity one, you can change that to 0. So someone could still then, so if you unpublish, they can't see the image in the product. You can change that to say 0, they can see your product, but they can't actually purchase it, right? So they can see the product, but they can't purchase it. So you're just changing the quantity. So you could put a note in there, available in person this weekend, but you'd have to actually copy that note or like do that. You'd have to actually click through the product, and then you have to save at the bottom, and then you have to go through the pictures and click through, and then go through the variations, click through and save. So it's just a little bit more time consuming versus turning your store on or off, like publishing your product on or off. They'll still be able to see your profile, but they won't be able to see your products. So it's really up to you, the ease that you want to do in regards to how you want to show yourself if you're doing something in person. And like Kate said, you can just leave both open and just mark sold items. I think there's a question, how do you mark a product sold? Like if you sold it, but you want it to stay on there, you can actually mark that again, just put 0 available, and you can just put big bold sold, you know, above your product description.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you?
Yeah.
So how do we coordinate, like for us being like Oakville, Burlington area, to maybe accumulate a couple of artists having a tent out or whatever in our driveway and work together to.
Yeah, so I think, again, I just put the link for the Facebook page, and that really is the best way. Like, I think that you need to probably talk to all of the artists that are out there, because there might be others that are not participating here.
Okay, I was looking at it, I couldn't find anyone, so this is great. So let's see who I can find.
All right. So just to talk a little bit about marketing, unless there's any other questions about the Eventeny platform.
The only other one is the total dollar value of the advertising we'll do to promote the August. I'm not sure that we've actually set our total dollar value. A lot of this is we've been building, every show we have, we're building our audience for our Facebook audiences as well as our MailChimp. So we do a lot of the MailChimp promotion. We do a lot of social media. Some of that is, a lot of our work is done with volunteers. And that's how we're able to continue to offer the shows at a relatively low rate and yet still kind of promote. I don't actually know the numbers of what we advertise. I can tell you that we're certainly not the Toronto Outdoor that's spending $100,000 in advertising, which is why it's critical that everybody pitch in and advertise. The fees of the shows are not enough. None of the shows are enough to be able to do a heavy duty marketing campaign. It's a starting point. We provide you with the tools, and then you guys need to also help promote.
Yeah, and so
But
for
that's why I was saying, like I have like, you know, every one of us has like a couple of thousand followers. So if we promote,
Exactly.
that might be an awesome opportunity right now online to kind of spread it around and,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
send people their way.
this marketing question leads very much into the next thing that we're going to talk about, which is our marketing package. So we do some paid online marketing. We do quite a bit of it, actually. One way that we fund part of it, is by offering these marketing packages, and the fee for the marketing packages directly correlates to the paid marketing for the marketing that you're getting, right? So, but we actually market the entire show. So what we do is we begin promoting online 2 weeks leading up to the show, maybe even earlier that through our MailChimps and other forms, but where we're doing a lot of our paid marketing is close to the online show opening date. And so what we'll do is we offer a marketing package available to all participants of the Art Walks. So we'll offer it to for the Riverdale show as well as the Art Walk in the Square. There is limited space, so you need to apply early for these promotional opportunities. And so the deadline for the August show will be August 6th or until it's sold out. And then Art Walk in the Square, same thing until August, September, or if it's sold out previous to that. If you're unable to complete a payment for the marketing package, it means we're sold out. And the artists will be notified through email regarding next steps for that promotional package. But this is what's included. So you're including a minimum of 2 email newsletters showcasing you as an artist participating in the store. You'll be able to upload 1 marketing image that we'll use for that. And then you'll also be part of our Facebook, Instagram ads. And that is a carousel ad. It's combined with multiple artists promoting the Art Walk. And where possible, we're going to tag you so that you can, and obviously encourage sharing. So make sure that you fill the form in properly and give us all your social information, and then retag us. Instagram and live interviews. So it also includes approximately 10-minute interview that is hosted by the Artists Network. And the interviews will take place for the Riverdale show the beginning of August, and for the September show the beginning of September. You can be in your studio or you can be outside, wherever you want. The idea is actually maybe to showcase some of your work, so have that available. The interviews will be shared, and then we'll be reposting on Instagram. We'll also try populate them on our YouTube channel so that you can download them and you can share them from there as well. You can actually even use that interview as your video on your Eventeny store if you prefer. We also highlight those artists on Eventeny in the schedule, so that's another opportunity for you. So take a look at that and let us know if you want to participate. I'll be sending out in MailChimp e-news soon with links where you can actually purchase that and sign up for that.
One of the things I did want to say is that, this is if you want to kind of go above and beyond. So the Artists Network does do a lot of promotion of the entire show. We try and drive as many people as possible to the main show. So if you don't choose this package, it's not like you're going to not get any promotion. But the other part too is that this is where you can really help the Artists Network be successful. So if you do a story about, hey, this is my newest painting I'm just working on for the Riverdale Art Walk, and you tag us, it's easier for us to be able to tag that story. So if you tag it with hashtag Riverdale Art Walk, again, that it comes up in that feed. So this is a little bit of collaboration, kind of help everybody.
Yeah, so at Riverdale Art Walk and at Art Walk Square are our main channels for those 2 shows. However, we have a lot of different channels that we're using. We use the Leslie Grove Gallery, and we actually promote all the events across all these channels. So we ask you to please follow all those channels. I'll send you again in that MailChimp e-news. I'll have a list of them all, and you just click on them all and just follow us. That would be awesome, because then you'll be able to see the overall show you know, all the different different posts and stuff that we're doing. But where possible, we'll repost your live feeds and your tags. Again, we're keeping healthy accounts, so we're managing what we're actually going to repost and not repost, because we'll do so much every day. We want to make sure that we keep very healthy accounts on all of our channels. So that's why you'll see us spread the activity across the channel. So you can tag, even if you're in the Riverdale Art Walk, you could tag Art Walk in the Square. We might be, you know, tagging artists early. So you can tag different events and different channels. And we have customized graphics. So you would have already got, like, I'm an officially part of show graphic, but we have other graphics that we've created that are available. And again, I'll be sharing those through the MailChimp.
And those other graphics will allow you to put your own art in the official Riverdale Art Walk or Art Walk in the Square graphics. So we get to build that brand consistency.
We have done in the past some live openings on Instagram and or Zoom. We are going to be confirming that. If it happens, it'll happen the Thursday for August. It'll be the Thursday, and for Art Walk in the Square, it'll be the Thursday again, Thursday before the show, Thursday evening before the show opens. The reason we're confirming that is just we're going to figure out what's the best opportunity, whether we're going to be live and in person for those shows, where we're going to host it, and etc. So you'll get updates on that as well. One opportunity that a lot of artists don't take advantage of is creating your own live event and your own live listings. And if you actually, we'll have a form that you can fill in, and if you fill that in, I can actually add that to the schedule on the Eventeny platform as well. So if you're going to host your own live event on Facebook or Instagram, I'll add that to the schedule of events. So you can sign up for that. And again, I'll do that through MailChimp, and there'll be a link that you can use to sign up for. Kate, do you want to talk a little bit about Instagram, how to use Instagram?
Yeah, so this is again where, you know, it's really important to tag Riverdale Art Walk. So not raw 20, stuff like that. As you can see, we have 1,000+ posts on Riverdale Art Walk. So as people are searching for Riverdale, this comes up, and this is basically, you know, your opportunity to make sure that your work and your posts show up in this Riverdale Art Walk feed. It has nothing to do with us. We don't have to do anything specific to forward it or share it. It just comes up here, which is a really great opportunity for you to be able to kind of highlight it. It's also just important that you always have something in a live story. And this is, again, it's so easy, and people love the behind the scenes of, like, here I am, you know, cleaning my brushes, or I'm stapling my canvas, and, or, you know, packaging my stuff, preparing for my art show. I'm shipping off a bunch of pieces. These are perfect opportunities to share with your audience through your stories. If you tag us, depending on how many other stories we have that day, then there's a good chance that we will actually forward it. We can't guarantee it in order to keep those healthy accounts. Otherwise, we will be shut down, and that doesn't help anybody. Yeah. It's always a good policy to have between 15, well, 30 is the max of hashtags you can have, between kind of at least 15 or 25 posts. And make sure some of those are very broad, like it might be original art or fine art, and some of them might be more specific, like, I don't know, palette knife or inspired by nature, or whatever you kind of have in terms of how you describe your work. So that's kind of for that content. In terms of content creation, you know, try and mix it up. It's really great to be able to have some pieces of the finished art, some of the working in progress, some might be of your studio, what your studio looks like and how you work. Some might be, you know, a short video that you do of yourself, just to talk a little bit about what your inspiration is. You can post that on your Eventeny site. You can put it on your Instagram. You can put it on your stories. You can do reels, which are really popular right now as well. So it's really kind of one of those things. The more you put out there in social media, the more you're going to get back.
Yeah, and I think just to also point that it also helps to comment and share other people's work. Like if you comment on, it's important to actually create a conversation, right? And yeah, to respond to people who are commenting on your pieces as well. That actually gives you better, you'll come up more on feeds, right, Kate?
Yeah, for sure. It's also, it's again, you know, like, you know, Angela and I are friends. So I might kind of go, you know, oh, I'm, you know, so excited to do this show with Angela. I'll tag Angela, then she'll be able to post it to her audience. Her audience is different from my audience. So it's again, it's sort of share the love. Yeah. Share the love, and you kind of are able to increase your reach. So it helps everybody. Facebook as well. Again, we've got graphics that are customizable for Facebook as well as Instagram. I know Instagram tends to be kind of the artist's social media platform of choice, but Facebook is very powerful. A lot of the age category and target audience that actually are art buyers tend to be more on Facebook than Instagram. And so when we do our digital ads, our Facebook ads, they actually go on Facebook and on Instagram, and we build that platform and build those relationships on both platforms at the same time. So again, don't neglect Facebook, and make sure you follow us.
Yeah, and yeah, because there's lots of pictures, and we kind of keep the overall event. Like if you share the event as well, that would be great. Here's a little bit of information about creating a newsletter. Do you want to talk about that, Kate, as well? Or
Sure. So the other thing we've done for the last number of years is we've done in person, we've done contests where people can win art. So we've really pretty aggressively built our database of art lovers that we have that we use for our newsletter. Your newsletter email list is gold. And so it's really one of those things where, you know, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, they can share their criteria and parameters of how you access your clients. But, you know, your email list are people that are truly interested in what you're doing. And so make sure that you send at least, I would say at least a couple of emails so that people know what you're doing, what's coming up, and then promote the show with, as Angela said, the links to your specific store as well as the Riverdale Art Walk. It's good to communicate a number of times. And I always find it's really powerful to add a personal note of what you're doing or where you're being. And to our point earlier, you know, people buy art from the artists as well as the art itself. And so it's kind of important to build that kind of connection.
yeah,
You can talk about specific highlighted work that you're going to have in your.
So can you hear me? I just went on the Riverdale ArtWalk Facebook page, and it's a closed group.
No, there's a
That's the
public,
wrong one.
yeah.
yeah, that's
Okay.
that's not the
That closed group is the one that where you want to post that you're in Oakville and you want to find some friends to show with.
I want the public one.
Yeah, so that's Riverdale Art Walk. So you should be able to find that.
Yeah, just search Riverdale Art Walk.
So the
Yep.
newsletter is really just that you can actually obviously send out your newsletter. The Artists Network also has a very robust newsletter following that we send out multiple emails to promote the show, the artists that are participating, as well as the artists that are doing the marketing package.
Might have missed one or two. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry, you're distracting me. I'm losing my train of thought. Anyway, do newsletters, they're important. Next slide.
Oh, sorry. So I think sorry, a little bit too fast. We also are going to be producing graphics for lawn signs. And this is really if you're doing like a pop-up or you're, you know, showcasing art with a small group in an area, we utilize these. So we'll actually create a graphic file that you can actually use and get signs made.
Yeah, and this is again, if you're doing a pop-up, for sure, it's super valuable. People really see them.
So a little bit about booth logistics. So this is really for the artist hosted pop-ups as well as sort of like in-person show. So I know that some people may not be as interested in this. That's why we put it at the end of the presentation. But if we do if you're doing the pop-ups, you can do either day. You can do both days or either day in August as well as September. So even if you are an online artist, for the September show for the Riverdale for Art Walk in the Square, you can still participate as a pop-up artist and present work, and we'll add you to a map on the online show website, as well as sort of promote you as a pop-up artist, even if you're not in person on site.
So one of the things that's really important here is because you have the option of either running your pop-up on Saturday or Sunday, or Saturday and Sunday, just really make sure that that information is super clear. There's a lot of artists that do sign up for this stuff. There's a lot of logistics. And so, you know, if you make a mistake in your form that you complete, then your mistake will be possibly incorrect with all of the materials that are being promoted out there. And you'd be amazed how many people do that, where they spell things incorrectly, or they put the wrong dates, or they don't really think about what they're doing. It causes a lot of extra work and time at our end because we've got to unravel everything. So I just ask you to please take your time, fill in these forms properly, and assume that it's unfixable. So therefore, what you're going to present is what's going to be showcased. So make sure your address is accurate. Like, make sure that people know where you're going to be.
Right.
What-
Yeah. So again, I'll have an online form. I've created an online form and you'll be able to fill that in for us, and then we'll make sure you get populated on the map. We've also, Kate and I did an Instagram interview about how to prep for an outdoor show. So there's lots of details on that, and you can find that, Kate, on your, I think it's through your.
So you can find that on my Instagram profile with that's Kate Taylor Art. You can also find it on youtube.com/Kate Taylor Art. So it's part of the Talking to Artists series. And so there's one that Angela and I did that specifically goes through tips and tricks for doing an outdoor show prep, how to promote it, how to sell, how to sort of perfect your elevator pitch, stuff like that. So I think you might find that useful.
Yeah, so we'll go through some of that a little bit. We'll highlight today, but really it's about planning your display, right? Figure out what your configuration is. One of the things we might want to recommend, depending on what show it is and what the COVID protocols are, is one, having hand sanitizer, wearing your mask, and potentially keeping the back of your booth open so that people don't get stuck in your booth and they can have be able to get through. You don't have to have a booth to participate in the pop-up either, but just kind of plan how you're going to present yourself, how you're going to secure your booth. Make sure if you do have a booth that you have weights, that you have plastic sheeting in case of rain. Wind always comes up unexpectedly, and so you always need a bit more weight than you need, but just make sure that you plan for that. Chairs and tables, I would say try to keep that to a minimum. We don't want to make sure we get people trapped inside, but we also want to have clear access and make the booth open and really present it very easily for people to come in and look at your work. Make sure you have your booth signage though. Go ahead.
One of the questions earlier too was about whether or not you can have people in your studio. And that's really not something that we can probably comment on. We recommend typically that these displays are outdoors, just because of the fact that we don't know exactly where we're going to be within COVID. If you happen to have a studio though that has lots of space and you feel comfortable opening up your studio, there certainly isn't a problem with it from our point of view. Just know that there may be people that are hesitant still coming into personal spaces. So that's just a decision you're going to have to make on your own.
Yeah, and the reality is that you kind of want to profile yourself. This is your opportunity to profile yourself in your neighborhood or your studio's neighborhood or your area. And you're way more visible outside than inside. I have to say, like even with the North Toronto group of artists, I think there's way more success with the events that they're doing when it was a studio tour traffic versus like these pop-ups outdoors. Like it's actually just more successful. Like you're going to have more people stop by who didn't know you. Like walk by traffic or drive by traffic who didn't know that you were setting up and just like are interested in seeing you and learning a little bit more about you. So this is the way a few people have set up in the past. So here Jamie he did the 2 side walls. So again, so people don't get trapped, and then had work in his garden. Somebody had stuff posted on their walls. People have done it on their garden fences. People have done setups like this, where it's pretty open and easy for people to view and look at their work. So lots of opportunities. People have done them on their front patios. Some garden pictures. Generally, we suggest you stick to a white tent. It presents the work in the best possible light. Make sure you're ready for weather. I think one of the most important things is bring a guest book. Again, your newsletter list is gold, so you want to make sure that you actually are getting people's contacts so that you can follow up with them post-event. Bring package to protect your work, and make sure that you follow COVID safety protocols that are recommended at the time of the show. All Cargoes is available for rentals, so they're a rental partner. So for the pop-ups, you are actually able to rent as well if you need something. So you can pick up, and their fee is $100 for the weights and the tent. They also have grids available for pickup, and then they will also deliver, but again, much higher cost because they'd have to drive out to your location. But in the GTA, it's basically $250, and they'll set up your tent for you.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead, and again, I'll have the link for All Cargoes to contact them in the MailChimp that I send out. This is a little bit about planning your booth. This is Kate's diagram. It works excellently. It's like in Excel, so plan the pieces that you have if you are setting up a booth, plan for how you're displaying your work. Kate, do you want to talk about that any more?
Yeah, I just think sometimes, again, it's, I found that, I did a show last weekend. It's been a long time since we've done these shows. So it's kind of helpful to have a plan so that you know what you're doing and how things work, and kind of go through all the tips and tricks. I find that for me personally, this allows me to see if the work goes together, if there are pieces that I think are missing to create a good cohesive display. So I normally will try and plan this fairly early so I can kind of go, I can see I need another 36 by 36 to match off this wall, or I kind of figured how I'm going to structure my booth, what it's going to look like. And so it's good to do this because at the end of the day, your booth is your kind of your store, in-person store. And so you want it to look as professional as you can.
Right. And plan for signage too, and telling your story. I found, I was just in a show this past weekend and I got really tired of sort of dry, and it was difficult to tell my story so many times. And I noticed that Marjolaine had an awesome poster in hers, and it basically just outlined her story in very big font. And it was a really great thing to do. Like, really, what's your inspiration, who you are as an artist, and just post it there for people to see. If there's something different about you, that's really what you want to share.
Yeah.
And then again, there's so many different ways to hang your work. I don't know, I'm just sharing some quick pictures here. We won't spend that much time on it, but there's a lot of different ways to display work in person. And for the Art Walk in the Square, again, we're going to have another orientation where we'll talk specifically about the in-person show, and we'll review a little bit more detail about this. But for some people, if you have a tent, it's pretty simple. They're black grids. These grids are easy to get from All Cargo, or if you have them yourself, it's a pretty standard way to hang work.
Yeah, maybe we can probably scoot through these pretty quickly because so many people have so many different options.
Yeah, and some people use chains. Some people do something custom with small wood frames where they actually hook their work on. As simple as like garden fencing, it's super light. So there's lots of different ways. Again, if you're sculptural, think about how you're going to present your work, and a lot of different custom ways you can just hang your work and make yourself, present your brand. I'm just going to scoot through some of these. Thinking about how you're hanging individual pieces, just for those for in person. It's one of the easiest ways is to attach D-rings to the top of your booth. That way things, you're not relying and they're not shifting from the middle like a wire. There's a lot of shifting, and this just presents a really nice clean line. So consider putting D-rings at the top of your art. And think about how you're going to actually hang your tags, like for your pricing or information about the piece. And I think that's it. Use noodles. That just helps keep the top of your booth taut for rain. You can use hula hoops as well. What, Kate?
I was just saying, super important. If you have not done an outdoor show before, and this is one of your first ones, do not skip the pool noodles or the hula hoops in the corners of your tent. It can really prevent your tent from collecting water and collapsing.
Yeah. And then other things you need to know. Here's the Facebook group. And also, if you're an Artist Network member, there's another closed group for sharing information. So just one more reminder about that, to join the Facebook group and share information and content with each other. I also post in there, and we do have people watching for questions. It doesn't come automatically into my feed. So if you don't hear from me, the easiest way to hear from me is to reach out through email. But I do periodically go into this closed Facebook group and try to answer questions as well. But many artists know the answers, and they'll share them with you pretty quickly. Just consider your support and comfort. So even if you are doing a pop-up in your own home and you're doing that, you probably do need to pop in to go to the washroom or to get something to eat or drink or whatever. Just be prepared. Maybe get somebody to give yourself a break, or make sure you use sunblock. Your phone's charged, your Square reader's charged, whatever your device is, it's charged and ready to go. You have waters and snack available, and just prepare for awesome weather. Kate, do you want to talk a little bit about your story? I think we talked about this online, but it's important for in-person as well.
Yeah, and some of this also will be in that that YouTube video that Angela and I did. But again, it's really this is an important opportunity for you to really build some authentic connections with the people that come to your booth. And these are really where those relationships are built. And often it's not that you necessarily sell at the first show of the season, but the people will follow you, and they'll see you in multiple places. They'll see multiple shows. They'll see your online presence, and hopefully eventually the purchase happens. So it's very important to sort of be able to really connect to people, talk to people. Don't sit in the back of your booth with your iPad. Greet them and make them feel warm and welcome. Excuse me. And think about things like if someone orders multiples, are you going to offer a discount? Things like that, that questions that might come up. Is it's better to think about them ahead of time and have your kind of planned answer for these things before you actually have them there. How to handle people who criticize your work always happens. Some people just love to be mean. I don't know why. So kind of, just think about that and how you're going to kind of respond and be obviously very polite and sort of trying to get them out of your booth. Really, it's important just to keep upbeat. I think I can't say enough times, you just never know when you have those people that kind of come through and look at your stuff. They don't talk a lot. They don't really engage. You don't think that they're interested. And then, 2 weeks after the show, they buy something. So that happens. And so you just have to stay positive the whole time.
Yeah. Oh, a little bit fast, sorry. Yeah, so as Kate said, be attentive. And don't forget to approach people. A lot of people need to be approached and invited in, and there's really nothing, an easy way to do that is say, let me know if you have any questions. I think I say that I don't know how many times I say that in the show, but it's like, you know what? And then if they're just kind of looking, oh, okay. And then I might say, oh, do you know what, these are basically reflections of my happy places. And then, then it sort of opens up a conversation. So a very short statement can open up a conversation, and it's very non-threatening.
Yeah.
I think we talked about all the rest of this.
I think so. Yeah, I think we're probably getting almost to the end.
So don't forget print materials for anybody doing anything in person. If you're doing pop-ups and at your home or whatever, you still need business cards or postcards. Postcards are great. They give you a little bit more opportunity to tell your story. I think Kate, you probably give out more postcards than business cards. I think it's a really great idea.
I encourage people to take the postcards versus the business cards. And I know there's always this thought of, well, postcards are more expensive, so you should kind of be careful who you give them to. I guess maybe my history and background as a marketer, I just feel like the more information you can get into people's hands, the more attractive those pieces are. People do keep them. And I know they keep them because I've had people come back years later to a show and they're finally now ready to buy, and they bring a postcard with them, which I know is like 3 years old. So, business cards get lost. They're small. Postcards typically get stuck on the fridge. So I would recommend doing postcards, and make sure you include all of your contact information. If you have a commission policy, galleries that you're represented by, a little bit of a short blurb on your artist statement.
Yeah, I think that it really helps too. Like even this past weekend, if I started to get into a conversation with someone, even if they picked up a business card, I'd say, oh, maybe you should take my postcard because it'll remind you a little bit about about my work, that, a specific piece you're interested in, or, a little bit about my story, just so you can remember remember me as the artist that you talked to about X, Y, Z, right? So I think it does actually help continue to tell your story even once they've left your booth.
Yeah.
And then selling your work, I think we've talked about all of this. I think the most important thing is, like Kate said, attitude. Always be up and positive, be willing to engage with people, and bring your best work, right?
Yep. Be sparkly.
Yeah. Share what makes you interesting. That's what people are there for. They want to be somewhat entertained, and really they want to learn about you. That's why they've come into your booth.
One of the things that I think is important in your booth as well as your online store is it's good to be able to provide different pieces and different price points. You're going to run some people that are just starting their art collection, so they might really only be able to afford a small piece, or they're just not sure, they're not confident yet in their art purchasing decisions. Right up to people that are going to have, they've been watching you for years and they really are now ready to buy. So, I call my little 6-inch by 6-inch paintings my gateway drugs. And a lot of people will buy these little pieces and they'll live with them for a bit. And then kind of, I really love this. I think I want to have a larger piece. And that's kind of what does it. So it's always, I think, wise to have small pieces that are easily purchasable in your booth as well as on your online store. Yeah, and make sure you know your pricing, whether you're collecting HST, and make sure your pricing is consistent across the board. You're not going to really, it's not going to be very great if somebody saw your work in a gallery or saw your work somewhere else and then now it's priced differently again. It's confusing for the purchaser, and it's really not respectful of your relationships in the galleries and other shows. Yeah. Bring your receipt book. I think that's
not as important these days anymore because a lot of the stuff is online and they're kind of like online receipts. But if you do in-person receipts, that's something you might want to consider.
And these are some things I was thinking about before. So, think about whether or not you offer discounts. Are you willing to negotiate prices? Do you accept credit cards, accept checks? E-transfers, I'm finding, are a lot of times people want to pay by e-transfer now. So just think about all that kind of stuff ahead of time. So when someone asks you the question, you're not fumbling.
Yeah, I'm finding e-transfer is really popular right now.
Yeah.
And it's great. You don't have to pay your credit card company percentage. So know your payment system. There's lots out there. I think I use Square, e-transfer, and I take cash at shows. Make sure your payment system set to touchless though, especially with COVID right now. You might want to consider that.
And if not, make sure you have wipes so you can wipe it out.
Yeah,
one of the really important things too is actually after the show. So it's really important to get all those names that you've added to your database and put them actually in your MailChimp database. It's nice to sometimes to kind of do a sort of a thank you that sort of says, thank you so much for coming out to see my work. A reminder, here's a link to my online store. If there's anything you saw that when you got home, you thought about it and it would be perfect for your space, please reach out to me. The follow-up is really important. And I know a lot of people, a lot of artists are resistant to selling and doing the hard sell. And I think that what it is doing though, is that it's understanding that people are really busy and they are not always able to make a decision on the spot. And so really you're kind of respectfully allowing them the time to think about whether or not they want to buy your piece of art and still staying in contact. I don't know how many times I followed up with people, 7 or 8 times, and they're like, oh, thank God you followed up because I got so busy. I just lost track of it, but I really do want to do a commission. I really do want to purchase a piece of art. So, don't really think about it as selling, really think about it more as building your relationship with potential art lovers.
Yeah, and you want to make it easy for people to find you as well, right? So, so you send them an email and you're following up, it's way easier for them to then say, oh yeah, that's great. I'm so glad that you connected with me again. I've had that as well, Kate, in the last couple of weeks where someone said, oh, thanks so much for following up, right? Because it's hard for them to find you, to remember your website, to look for your business card when they are ready. I think that's all I had. I think that was the last slide. Yep.
Yeah.
Just Kate had mentioned like wiping things down in your booth. I think with COVID, it does make people a little more comfortable. So even when like my pens for people signing my book or whatever, I like have a dirty pot and a clean pot, like for people to put their pens in. So something simple like that, like just think about some of the restrictions that we have this year, and just to make it really comfortable for people to come in.
Yeah.
I think that's all I had. We can open it up for more questions.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions, Angela, if you can answer them. Some quick ones anyway.
Yep.
I've got most of my images on my platform, and when I was loading up some of my images, I noticed that the re-image size said 1200 pixels by 800. That was the recommended size. So when you're referring to 1200, you're referring to the height by the width?
Well, it's not necessarily height by width. I think it's just a recommendation that if you're, because people have square images as well, right? I would say maybe don't like large images, really large images are just they might take longer to load. And so I think some of it has to do with that. So 1200 is sort of like, maybe don't go beyond 1200 for images. And I export and download the images to create galleries and we maybe use that for promotion. So it also takes a long time for us to download images and use the images. So that it's just a guideline. Your images will still populate if they're a little bit larger and if they're smaller.
Okay, because what was happening is some of my images I would, when I have them scanned, they're fine and they're oriented perfectly, but they, the way they should be. But when I was downloading it to the page, what happens, a couple of them went horizontal instead of vertical. One was upside down for some reason. I have no idea why.
That's strange because
Okay,
I've.
so I'll look at your profile sometime, Stephen, and just take a look, but that shouldn't really happen. Like, I don't know why that would be happening, because you can edit your images. You can populate. The only way where you're gonna have a problem with the whole crop thing is your header banner. Like, it's gonna fill the spaces. So some of those are square. And so maybe it's doing something weird with those images, but the images, and as you can see, like the small little images, like it depends on the, like if you have a really long skinny piece, it might crop for those, if they're in the header, they're going to crop that, right? Like it's just going to take a piece of it. So, but it shouldn't be flipping them. I'd have to.
Can I just make a comment?
Yeah.
When I was uploading from my iPad, when I was doing the side views, it would do the same thing. It would flip it. So I would have to go into photos, edit, manually flip it, save it, flip it back to the correct orientation, save it. And when I upload it again, it went in fine. So
Yeah, I think, thank you for talking to us about that. But I think the other problem, the other challenge, of course, is that this program is really designed to be done on a computer. So in the same way as the submissions, you'll find that a lot of these issues are happening because you're trying to do it on a tablet or an iPad, which is not as the programs aren't really as designed to work on those.
Yeah, almost every website, it's going to be the same thing. If you're filling in forms and you're uploading content from an iPhone or an iPad, you're going to end up having problems. Like that's across the board with like so many things. There's definitely issues with iPhones and iPads. So if that's what you're using, even that will definitely be a problem.
Yeah.
So we actually put in a lot of our submissions to not to fill in the submissions using an iPhone or an iPad. So maybe we should put that note on the Eventeny site. It's definitely, I think somebody who uses an iPhone or an iPad to do stuff, you know that there's going to be issues with it.
Yeah, because you know,
Unfortunately, Apple doesn't
another
play
issue,
well in the sandbox with others.
yeah, like another issue I was having, when you see your, when you're adding your products on your page, and when you upload your image, up at the top left-hand corner, there's a little box that shows part of the image. When you preview the piece of artwork, it's showing the image upside down in the little box in the upper right-hand corner. It's still showing it upside down in the image that you've unloaded.
It
Yeah,
sounds
Stephen, I think
download, but
like
then
this is all
when you
the
preview-
same. This is all the same problem, right? Like the fact that the images that are uploading and then there's somehow the orientation is changing. Are you?
So
and when you preview it, it's showing the orientation correctly. I have no idea.
Yeah, so it might be because one's referring to the original image that's uploaded. I think, like Crean had said, I think it has to do with the device maybe you're using, Stephen, or we need to get Eventeny to look at your profile. So this is just a really, honestly, I'm so glad you brought this up, because if I'm not going to know all the answers really quickly about the Eventeny profile. I'm not a website developer. So one of the things you can do if you're having a problem at all on your profile, if you're having problems, so one I'm going to say, Stephen, if you use an iPad or an iPhone to upload your images, I would say just delete it and re-upload it. Like I'm telling you that will be an issue right now. But if that's not the case, you will want to go into, anytime you're in Eventeny, if you scroll down to the bottom and you go to contact, they have an awesome team of engineers and developers and a really good help desk. So if you go into contact there, that goes right to their help team, and they are very, very quick with responses, and like within a day, they'll probably figure stuff out and sort things through for you. So I would just say, please use that resource. If it's a technical type question that's happening, the likelihood is I'm going to go look at your profile, spend 15-20 minutes looking at it, go back to them, go back to you. We're going to go back and forth. And then I'm eventually going to have to go to Eventeny if it's something like that is programming or weird things happening. So if you go to the contact, they actually have a link that goes to your store platform. So they actually know who you are.
Sorry.
Right? Otherwise, I've gone in for other artists, and I have to go into your profile. I have to go copy your link. I have to share that with them and try to figure out what's going on. The best thing is for you to go down to contacts and go talk to their help people. But if it is an iPad, iPhone thing, that is actually flagging something that is an issue.
I'm not using an iPhone. I have my laptop.
So I think, Stephen, I don't think it's really, I don't really think we should kind of get into this detail with this many people here, but it sounds like the other thing too is sometimes weird shit happens, and maybe there's something with your profile that just needs to be fixed or adjusted at the event in the end. So
yeah. So
I
there
think
could
it's really
be a,
best to
there could be a
reach out to them.
glitch. If it's happening to more people,
Yeah.
it could be a glitch. So I would reach out to Eventeny. And if something like that does happen and there's a glitch, reach out to me as a organizer, because then we can share that with other artists. But usually they'll fix it very quickly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I have another question. I have a whole bunch, but we can't answer them now. But anyway, another one. With the categories, I only have 3 categories: watercolor / pen and ink as one category, pen and ink, strictly pen and ink, that's another one, and charcoal drawings, that's 3. Now, that's not going to be too complicated for the average person to see that.
Nope, I think that makes logical sense.
What's
Yeah,
that?
so what you want to do is only select one category for each product that you have, and then it shouldn't be a problem at all.
No,
And I would,
I've done that, that's fine. But based on the number of prints I'm allowed to put into the show, I have 15 pieces. So 10%, that's one of 2 or 3 prints you're allowed to put into the show. Is that correct?
you're allowed 20%. So if you have 15 pieces uploaded, you'd be allowed 3 pieces.
3 pieces, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm showing one original, but I also want to sell a print of that, can you do that as one of the 3 pieces?
Yes, you can do that.
Yeah, okay, all right. Because I have one individual piece that was already sold at another show, but I still have prints of it. So-
Yeah, that's exactly what
Yeah,
you
so
want to do. with prints.
that's a really good way to use this system, the store, right? It's a good way to,
Yeah, okay, but I don't have to create a specific, or would it be better for me to create a specific page for prints only as a different category?
I think that's up to you. I think so long as you only use, like if you have one product, it's one category, so that
Right.
it's not repeated all over.
Yeah,
Like
And-
I had
and
for my
just-
profile, just to give you an idea, I had 5 different categories.
yeah.
So
right.
I think that as long as you have, it's ideally too, you want more than 1 or 2 images per category. But I think that it's something also with changing the categories, you can fool around with, like you could try one, like what I did is I tried some stuff and then I'm like, I don't like the look of it. It doesn't profile my big pieces at the beginning of my store. So I kind of fooled around with the categories a bit until I found something that kind of fit.
Right, because some of my original pieces are framed, some are not. So when
I would put that in your detail. I wouldn't use that as a category.
I agree.
okay, yeah, you just tell them that it's okay, this individual.
Yeah,
piece is
I
professional.
don't think framed or unframed is a category. If
No, no,
for
no.
somebody looking for art, I think it's a detail, right? Because the reality is if someone asks you, oh, I love this piece, but can you frame it? And they reach out to you, you'll probably say, yes, I could frame that.
Yeah, yeah, that's, no, I won't put it as a different category, but I'll just put it in the description as this is professionally framed under glass with matting and whatever.
Yeah,
color.
I think the important thing to remember is the categories are not designed for the artist. The categories are designed for the consumer.
Right.
So if you think about, if you're a consumer, how are you going to search things and how are you going to look for things? There are very few people that are going to search framed acrylic paintings. They're going to search for size. They're going to search for theme. They're going to search for medium. So think about that when you're figuring out your categories, like just what is going to make it easy for the consumer.
Right, okay. Now,
So
as far
you're-
as- yeah, go ahead.
So categories also are not like, if you develop categories, it's for your store. It's organizing your store. It's not organizing the overall event, right? The overall event is organized by medium. And that's how we've chosen to do it this year. And we'll review that for another year again, but that's how we're doing it this year. Your categories is your storefront. So just think of it that way as well. So I don't know if you have to do so much medium because they might have already searched by medium, but they'll find you by medium anyway. So. But this brings up another point. So what you're presenting in your store should be what you have been juried into the show, because it is a juried show. So I just want to put that out there to artists, because I've had artists reach out to me as well. If that's not the case, I did somebody reached out to me at another show and said, oh, you know what, I also have this. Can I showcase this in the store? I need to actually review that. So you need to send me a note.
Okay, all right. Yeah,
Are there any other questions from anybody else?
yeah, I have some more if nobody has any more.
Well, and I think if other people are, I mean, you're welcome, of course, to stay and listen to Stephen's questions. But if you feel like you want to go to, that's totally fine. Don't feel like you have to stay till the bitter end.
did we get all the questions in the chat, Kate? Because I wasn't.
And the only thing was about the presentation, if the presentation is going to be available.
So we recorded it. It saves up into the cloud. It usually takes a couple of days for us to actually see it, to get it back from Zoom, and then we have to populate it on YouTube. Once it's there, I'll share it with everybody through the Eventeny link likely, or through the MailChimp.
Right, okay. Yeah, just to let you know, if I had put a message through, but yeah, I'm a first-time person in the Eventeny platform this year. So, yeah, so I still have some questions to be asked, but I'm working through them anyway.
Yeah, and I think you'll find too that the one great thing, because I've been actually involved in quite a few actually virtual shows, and I think one of the great things about the Eventeny platform is that you're not going to break it. Like if you put something in and then you realize, oh, I made a mistake, or I did it wrong, or I don't like the way it looks, it's really easy to go back and change things.
Right.
Like you're not sort of having to be committed. So that's one of the reasons that we suggest start early, so that you have the time to figure it out. And if you do have some serious issues, sometimes there are weird technical issues, then we have the ability to fix it. But usually it's just becoming familiar with the platform. And the more you do it, the more familiar you become, and the faster it'll be.
I started 3 days ago, actually, but
That's perfect. That's good. I'm glad you did that.
well, I had lost it. Yeah. So anyway, okay. I guess one other question is, when we're looking at sizes now of images that you're going to indicate on your platform. So if it's a framed piece, are you actually measuring the outside dimensions of the frame as well as the piece in the frame?
I think that again depends on you. There's an area for description. So you might kind of say framed piece is 12 by 14, print is 11 by 12 or whatever. So I think this is exactly where you would use the description to, again, think about what is the consumer going to want to know and how can I help them be clear on what they're purchasing.
Yeah, other shows I've done, I've just listed as just the original size without the frame.
And I think that's totally up to you. I think the only thing I would say is be consistent. Like don't flip back and forth between this one includes the frame size and this one is just the actual print, because then that's again where it gets confusing for the consumer.
Yeah, because some of my originals, I don't have frames for them.
Yeah.
Completed pieces, but they're not framed, but some are.
Right.
So I want to make sure that that's being, communicated to the people that are.
So what I would tend to do in that case is because you have some that are not framed, I would probably use the unframed size as the default size. And then in the description, I would say this piece is framed with a white floating frame. Frame size is 12 by 15.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay. Okay. All right.
David, I think David John, you had a question here. I wasn't quite sure. I saw it in the chat about the list of the artists. Is that, can you just, what specifically were you asking for? I just want to make sure I understand it. It said something about what I did for the June show. I think that was you, David Johns, wasn't it?
And
you
you're
have to
on mute.
unmute yourself. Sorry. I just want to make sure I understand your question. I don't want to ignore you. So. Oh, he's muted. There he is. I just saw you were still on and I saw it in the chat.
No, it was me. You had presented all the contact information, emails, all of the addresses, everything we needed to know
In one spot.
on one spot, and that was terrific. Thank you. I hope you do that again.
Yeah, I'm going to do that again. So I've just have some edits to do on a page online, like the artist handbook, and I'll share that out with a MailChimp email soon.
Yeah. No, thanks again. Yeah, it's good.
All right.
Oh,
Yes, Luis?
Oh, he's saying hello. He's saying goodbye.
Oh.
We can't
And you're
hear
on
you.
mute, so we can't hear
You're
you.
muted.
I think it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, yes.
Thank you very
Anyway.
much.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much. Thanks for
Yeah,
coming.
so we're going to head out. Stephen, if you still have a couple questions, maybe you can email them to me and we'll do our best to answer them as quickly as possible. But we're going to kind of close off this Zoom chat and then
That's
we'll
fine.
See you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that was my next question. I'm working through it now, and I think it's going to be okay, but I'm going to have a couple issues coming up. So, yeah, so if I could do that either to you or Kate, I don't know.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so email me as the artwork director, but again, if it's technical, something to do with this
No, I
thing,
know.
please reach out to Eventeny, just because I won't be able to respond as quickly. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get that. Okay, thank you.
All right, awesome. All right,
Okay,
Good luck.
thanks. All right, good luck. Good luck with the show, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Okay,
guys.
bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Okay, where's, how do we stop? Okay.